On today's episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about your call to action. Now, we've done episodes about this before. We talk about your call to action in our free podcast guesting masterclass. And this is such an important topic. We recently did an episode about does your call to action need a facelift? And I wanted to do an episode about this today because when I am speaking with our clients about what their call to action should be, similarly to the last episode where I was talking about your interview topics and questions, when you just come at this surface level, like, what should my call to action be? It needs to be free. It needs to be valuable. How about this lead magnet? But I'm going to give you some prompts, some questions to answer to help you think about this a little bit differently and help you get to a more effective call to action than you might if you just said, what should the offer be? Okay. So number one, write down, list out 5 of your best clients, like 5 clients that are a total dream to work with. They've seen the most results working with you. Just write them down. Who are they? What do they do? Get that all out on paper, on a Google Doc, wherever. Write that all down. Then I want you to answer the question, how did they find you? Then write down, what was their journey to signing up with you? What was the journey they took from initially learning about who you are and what you do to ultimately becoming your client and investing with you? And then the next question that I want you to answer is, what is the next intentional stop on the journey from somebody hearing you on a podcast or interviewing you, right? If they're the host, to becoming your client. So the reason I want you to first write out like your best clients, how they find you, what was their journey, is because you have to look at what's already working. If you're new to being a podcast guest and having a call to action, it feels new, but it's not. You're not reinventing the wheel. You're just creating another avenue for people to learn about you and get closer to becoming your client. So first, write out what's already working so you don't reinvent the wheel. You don't want to over-engineer this and create what I like to call a scenic route. If somebody hears you on a podcast and they hear you speak for 30, 45 minutes with somebody that they trust, the host, they're likely pretty close to knowing if you are somebody that they want to work with or not. So rather than sending them on this rabbit hole to going on my email list and doing all this other stuff, if the journey of a typical lead to client is they hear about you, they get referred, they get on a consult, they sign up, or they hear about you, they read your book, they sign up, then let's replicate that as much as possible so we can replicate what's already working. So I was recently on our masterclass, we had a live Q&A, and I was talking this through with one of our new clients. And at first he had some ideas about a special rapport, a lead magnet. But when I asked that question of, if somebody were to hear you on a podcast, right? Maybe they take the workshop you have right now, or a free workshop that's similar to a podcast, right? They're spending a little bit of time with you. They understand what you do, how you do it, all of that. What is the step that they need between that and becoming your client? And what he said was, and what a lot of our clients say is, they need to talk to me on the phone. They need to do a Zoom consultation call. And I said, fantastic. Let's make that your call to action. And sometimes the most obvious call to action, we don't even see because we're over engineering it. We're overthinking it. We're trying to make it more complicated than it has to be. The thing that's great about podcast guesting is it's not that complicated. People hear about you, they learn about you, they get to know you, they decide, I'm interested in this, and get them on a very short journey to becoming your client. So for a lot of service-based entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, people with educational, products, courses, things like that, the next logical step is to have a conversation and get some questions answered. So I hope that this episode was helpful, and just if only just to get you to stop overthinking it and stop over-engineering it. Right? So again, list out your 5 best clients, write, how did they find you? What was their journey to signing up with you? And what is the next intentional stop on the journey from somebody spending 30, 45 minutes with you on a podcast to becoming your client? And that's your answer. That's your call to action. Send us a DM on Instagram @interviewconnections and tell me what your call to action is. I want to know how this episode helped you, and tell me what your call to action is. DM us at Interview Connections on Instagram.